Right, good afternoon to you. The Formula E-Prix main race is just under an hour away from starting. All 11 teams have completed qualifying, and it's Frenchman Sacha Fenestraz driving for the Nissan Team in pole position. The Cape Town leg of the series brings the concept of e-mobility to the public eye. I am now joined by eNCA Sports Editor Vata Ngobeni, who caught up with one of my colleagues, Morena Mutupi, earlier today, and they went ahead and explained to all of our viewers what exactly Formula E is. And of course, we are very excited that it is being hosted in Cape Town. So Vata, thank you for being back with us. I'm quite interested to know, is the day living up to its expectations?
No, without a shadow of a doubt. Good afternoon, Nicole. It's been like this since yesterday. There's a lot of excitement in there. It's palpable. You speak to people in the streets. Everyone is talking about Formula E-Prix. There's big talk in the paddock about Calvin van der Linde, the South African, the lone South African on the grid. But unfortunately, bad news is that his Cupra team will not be racing in the main race, and so has Mahindra Racing Team. They've also pulled out. And again, it's a powertrain issue of which Mahindra supplies Cupra, and they will now not be taking part in the race. However, what is spot on and what everyone is enjoying at the moment is a tourism factor around the Formula E. And with me, Nicole, I've got Tourism South Africa COO, Nomasonto Ndlovu. Nomasonto, let's talk tourism, because we can't run away from it. Such events bring a lot of tourism with them. We've had 3 years of the sector itself having been decimated by COVID. Is it up and running? Is it just starting to crawl or getting out of bed? Where does South African tourism find itself at the moment?
Thank you very much for having us. South African tourism's mandate is to market South Africa, internationally, bring tourists from around the world into South Africa. But we also have to encourage South Africans to travel in and around South Africa. So for us, where we are right now as a country is that coming out of COVID, we're still driving the recovery of the sector. And we have not fully recovered. We are tracking behind by like 15%, so which is actually a problem. So we have to look at new ways and new things to actually make sure that we can use to market South Africa. Because right now, all the destinations around the world, they are looking for new ways of restarting their tourism industry. So this weekend is fantastic for us. We are glad to be part of this event as a partner because it speaks to our mandate. This is an international event being hosted in our shores in South Africa. We get to get people coming from outside into Cape Town, but also the Cape Townians and those around Cape Town and South Africa have traveled into this event. So we think this is one of the very good ways of promoting the destination. And as you said, tourism is buzzing in Cape Town right now. I mean, the streets, everybody's out in the streets, in the malls. Everybody's here wanting to see this street race on the African continent, the first one to be hosted in South Africa.
Just talking about that, has there been a sort of a focus or a big emphasis from SA Tourism to target sports tourism? Because we're seeing this weekend alone in Cape Town, it's a Formula E, there's a Volvo Ocean Race, we've got the ICC T20 Women's World Cup, there's the Netball World Cup coming up later on. There are many other major international sporting events. Is that a priority when it comes to SA Tourism to target the sports tourism industry?
Absolutely. Part of our strategy is to look at events and mega events for that matter. South Africa is known to be a good host when it comes to these international events. You've spoken to the ones that are happening this weekend, but I can go back as far as the Africa Cup of Nations in 1995. I can go back into the FIFA World Cup hosted in South Africa. So we know how to do this stuff, and we know that South Africans get very excited about this thing. But we also know that we get the world's attention to actually look at South Africa differently and want to travel here. This event alone, what's exciting is that you're looking at about over 2 billion rands of economic impact expected from this event in terms of the whole value chain, in terms of what other areas are going to be touched and contribute to the economy. That's a good fit. This event is bringing with it over 200 media, international media that travels around the world covering this event. So in terms of exposure, you're looking at about over 400 million viewership across the world during this event. So for us, it's part of the strategy. We've identified this, and it is something that is one of the big partnerships that we will be going out there looking for, to sort of say, how do we use partnerships, getting these events here in order to make sure that South Africa remains top of mind around the world as the best destination to visit after COVID.
We spoke off air about how you went on a run this morning, and there's something that you saw, from security guards to chefs, to marshals and so on. And you guys have come in for a lot of criticism about the amount of money you spend. The city has come in for that. The province have come in for that. The rationale is that you've got to spend big money in order to make big money. And these sort of events do that. They bring in big money, but they also contribute to decreasing the levels of unemployment and so on, and bringing in the local, private sector into the economy.
Absolutely. So this morning I went out on a 15-kilometer run around the waterfront, and I went all the way to Greenpoint. And what I saw is that around the stadium, it was actually quite emotional for me to see how these events, they bring in jobs, real jobs. So security companies were parked outside. You could see the temps parked outside, getting ready to get started. There were chefs, so the hospitality industry is also part of this. So these events, they create jobs without a doubt, and that is part of the impact of tourism, and something that we should always be remembering whenever we are talking about tourism. It's all about changing lives, and such events, they play a major role in doing that.
And just lastly from my side, we've got the Cricket World Cup coming to South Africa in 2027. SAFA have openly said that they will be bidding for the FIFA Women's World Cup as well in 4 years' time to come to South Africa. Everyone's going to ask you this question. Are you going to help us get the Formula 1 to come to South Africa? Because that is a big race. I know it requires about 2 or 3 billion rand in government guarantees. Will you guys be part of that to try and get the F1 here?
I mean, our role in South African tourism is to work with partners who want to bring these events. In terms of our business events, we do bidding. We look at bidding for major events to come to South Africa from a meetings and incentives point of view. So when it comes to sporting events, of course, it's not our core mandate, but we want to work with all the partners to be able to participate and contribute in the team that brings it to South Africa, because it also talks to the tourism mandate. So definitely bring us to the table. We are in, because these events are very important, and we would be delighted. And what's interesting about this event is that FIA is here, because this is owned by FIA. So, I mean, I'm sure they are seeing South Africa differently. I'm sure that they are being motivated about, the other event coming here. But we are here to make sure that South Africa can actually win through these big events in driving tourism, which then contributes to the economy of the country.
Thank you very much, Nomasandra Ndlovu from SA Tourism. And there you have it, Nicole. Big major international sporting events coming to our shores not only contribute to the sports lovers in this country, but they contribute tremendously to tourism and to the economy itself. And we're seeing an event like this really doing its best to try and help the sports tourism economy and the tourism economy recover after that 2 or 3 bad years of COVID, which almost decimated the entire tourism industry.
And Vata, speaking about the tourism economy, very quickly before you go, please. I mean, this event obviously is great, not only for Cape Town, but for South Africa as a whole. We've also recently had the inaugural SA20, which was hosted, and it was great. I mean, the majority of the matches were actually sold out. With us as in South Africa, being grey-listed just yesterday, and this event was obviously planned prior to that, do you think it will now have a ripple effect on all of the wonderful things and all of the great things that are now happening with not only sport, but as you so rightly mentioned now, tourism also in South Africa?
it's got to, Nicole. It's got to, because when you look at just the events happening in Cape Town this weekend, the major international sporting events. You've got another big sporting event happening in Johannesburg, the Kyalami 9 Hour. Then you're going to move on. The Netball World Cup is coming on. There's a smaller hill climb, coming on, and the Springboks will be playing here at home prior to them going over to France to defend their World Cup title. So again, this does bring in a lot of money to the economy itself. But more than anything, I think it's going to try and convince the financial world that the grade listing that happened yesterday should not last longer than it should, and hopefully within 18 months, in the same way that Mauritius is said to have done with our last guest, as he had mentioned, South Africa can also do the same thing and recover and get out of the grey list and make sure that they're again on good financial footing when it comes to world economy.